There are multiple reasons why you'd want to update firmware on your physical security devices. The new firmware version might offer additional functionality, they may fix bugs you've encountered with those devices, or, and most critically, they may address device vulnerabilities. So keeping on top of updates is very important. Before we get too far, we need to discuss the steps for firmware updates. Since SecuriThings proactively monitors many different vendors for firmware updates and vulnerabilities, we'll automatically add applicable firmware binaries to your repository. However, I like to think of this as one size fits most, but not one size fits all, which is why the SecuriThings solutions wants you to review and approve them before deploying. There are 3 steps involved: selecting the firmware from the SecuriThings platform or uploading one you've gotten from the vendor, specifying the vendor, model, and version applicable, reviewing the upgrade paths for that particular firmware image and approving it, and finally, sending that firmware update request out to your devices. If this is the first time you're hearing the term upgrade path, don't worry. An upgrade path defines the process of upgrading a device from one version to another. After the firmware binaries are created in Manage Binaries, either automatically by SecuriThings or manually by you, you'll need to approve the path. Like I said before, SecuriThings maintains a compatibility matrix on the back end which will pre-populate many of these paths, but you still need to approve them for your environment. If SecuriThings already has the firmware in your repository, an upgrade path will automatically be built and we can go right to upgrade paths within the admin area. If not, you'll need to add a firmware binary to your repository. To add a new firmware image, go to Manage Binaries and click Add File. Here you'll need to provide the vendor, model, and firmware version applicable to that binary file and upload the file. Once you've completed that step, SecuriThings will automatically build new matching upgrade paths on your behalf. Let's look at the possible upgrade paths. There are a few statuses for any upgrade path: pending, in progress, approved, declined, and deleted. Much like any of our other grid views, you can add additional sorting and filtering fields as you like. Let's look at a specific one, this one here. You can see that there's an icon next to the current firmware version and the target firmware. If the icon is red, then there's no applicable firmware file for this vendor device version combination. If the icon is blue, then the firmware file was added automatically from the SecuriThings firmware repository. If the icon is green, then the firmware file was manually added. If everything looks good, you can edit any existing pending upgrade paths to approved using the Actions menu. We should note that if the target firmware is missing, in other words, showing red from the upgrade path list, it doesn't matter if the upgrade path is approved. You won't be able to start an upgrade of this device type. And although not required, it's highly recommended that you provide the current firmware version in the event SecuriThings needs to execute a rollback. Assuming you have the current version and a target version available in your repository, and you've changed the upgrade path to approved, you're ready to send out your firmware updates. Now that you've approved the path, all you need to do is go to Device Management, select the devices for the upgrade, assign any update-specific settings, and then sit back and let SecuriThings do the work for you. As always, if you have any questions or feedback, please let us know and we'll be happy to address it, possibly in a forthcoming video.